Good afternoon and welcome back to Made You Look magazine. Today we are on issue number 2. Thank you everyone who watched last week's, and again, thanks for joining us today. A bit about Made You Look magazine. Why are we doing this? Ultimately, the idea behind the show is to be able to promote other business owners just like me, probably just like you if you're watching this, by creating real people first, down to earth video content that's easy to reach via social media. And it's all about the people behind the brand. What makes each business tick? Why are people in business? And if we can learn something from it, then why not? We'd be all the better for it. Today, we've got Mr. Kamran Farooq of Chilli Copy, copywriter extraordinaire with over 25 years worth of experience in industry. Really interesting guy. And it's my pleasure to present him. So, Cam, welcome to the show.
Hey, good afternoon. I nearly said good morning. It's been a long day, Bruno.
I surprised you there, didn't I? So, without further ado, Cam, why don't you introduce us a bit about Chilli Copy, what you do, the story behind it. How did you get into copywriting?
Sure, Bruno. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me on. Actually, it's been good. Don't often get a chance to talk about this, but it's good to tell people because I'm very pleased with what I've managed to achieve, and the fact that I waited so long to do it. But it all comes together anyway. All that experience has paid off. But Chilli Copy something. It's a copywriting agency. It's me running it, doing everything myself, but I regard it as an agency because it will build. We'll come to that later on. But the idea being that, I've got 25 years of experience in the manufacturing industry. I went through a redundancy at the beginning of COVID and got a good redundancy payment. A company is very nice to me. They went over and above what they needed to do in terms of paying me. So I just sat there and I thought to myself, what do I do? I can live off this money for the next 9 months quite happily, and I can wait for the situation to improve and then go back into employment of some kind. But I'm not the kind of person that sits still, a bit like yourself, Bruno, always busy, always doing things. And so, my love of reading, my love of writing, my experience in sales and marketing, working with sales team and helping them communicate better, just someone had suggested to me, have I ever thought about copywriting? And so I just started looking into it. It starts off with, how do you write a good sales letter? Okay, I've been doing that. And then it goes from there, how do you get people interested? When you write something, how do you get someone to read past the intro through the rest of it and then get to the end and think, oh, I want to know a bit more, a bit like Made You Look Media. It's like, I've seen you do your stuff, Bruno, and it's just, people want to get to the end. They think, right, I need to find out more. Who do I email? Who do I call? And there's a number. There's the email address. So it's that's what drove me. I thought, how can I do this? How can I work with other people? And because of my industrial experience and because of the contacts I had on LinkedIn, I immediately started, I changed my profile to reflect what I was doing. I set up as a freelancer. I did a lot of networking. Okay. Yep. And through the networking is where I met people like yourself. I discovered other creative people, graphic designers, web designers, and all of this comes together. You end up working with people, you get things done. So I had a website, I had a logo, I put all this on LinkedIn, and the next thing I know, there's people getting in touch with me thinking, okay, we'd like to throw some work your way. And it started off just little bits, and I really didn't think I'd be doing this in the long term. But with, freelance and with running your own thing comes a sense of achievement, comes a sense of autonomy, and the point where you think, I'm doing this for myself. And it's like, gives you a massive buzz. So that's the story. That's where I've come from. And today it's going really strong to the point where I'm having to turn away work because I've got that many inquiries coming in. The only difference in classically between this and typical employment is that it's not a long-term career as such. You don't have a contract in place which keeps you.
Yeah.
However, in saying that though, with times the way they are, things change so quickly. So there is no guarantees anymore. So you might as well sort of control your own destiny.
No, completely agree. And I always say, when it comes to employment, I think the illusion of job security. I think it is just an illusion. Who's going to go first? Is it, the people at the coalface, the people doing the work, or is it the execs? Who's going to get the chop first? So, when it comes to, starting up even freelancer, I agree with you that it's just a case of just go out and do it, because I think sometimes that the perceived security and safety of employment, it is just a bit of an illusion. And there is work out there. If you do a good job, you say, you do exactly what you say you're going to do. There's plenty of work out there, eh? So let me ask you, what would you tell someone either going into business today, or perhaps looking at going into copywriting today, or perhaps thinking about freelancing, who's 50-50? What would you say to someone, in your shoes, however long ago it was, today?
Okay. So firstly, I would just say go for it. Don't hesitate. That's very easily said. Okay. However, what I would say is do your homework, do your research, check to see. I mean, with copywriting, there's tons of work out there. Everything we consume these days, it's either through video or text or audio. But there's still, when you get your smartphone, everything is audio. Everything is text based. And people have short attention spans, so you have to be able to write clearly and succinctly and get your message through quickly. So no more than 5 minutes in terms of reading. So I will never say don't do copywriting. There's a market for it, massive market for it. Just pick your area. Don't be a generalist. Specialize in something. But I would also say is just don't underestimate how much work is involved, because when you're doing your own business, when you're transitioning from corporate to your own business, those little things, your expenses, your advertising, your sales, your marketing, your finances, all of that takes time. So I think one of the things I would recommend doing is form really, really good networks. Go out there, do as much networking as you can. And nowadays it's easy, right? There's no more need to jump in cars and drive places. You can go and join multiple organizations, do Zoom calls. You could spend an hour a day in Zoom calls, but those networks are networks for life. And I think really do that, make use of them. This is how I met you in the first place, Bruno. And it's good because it's not just the work, it's the work ethic. You feed off other people. You feed off their enthusiasm, their ambition, their drive, and it spurs you on. It's like being in a workplace, but the difference is you can pick and choose the people you surround yourself with. When you're doing it this way, you find all the really, really great people that you've been talking to over the last couple of years, and you think, right, this is my extended team.
Yeah.
And that's what you do. You cultivate that and you nurture that relationship.
It's funny you say that. I remember when I first started out, it was the first started up the company. I remember thinking, where is everyone? Where are the people that are just like me? When it was in employment, there was always something like, why is this? Why am I different to everyone else? And then the minute I, started out networking, like you say, forming that extended team where they think the same as you, they've got a good energy that you can bounce off. I'd certainly just like to echo what you're saying there. Finding people who are like you, who you can bounce ideas off and feed off and give you a good energy. Top tip there, Cam. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.
And I think, Bruno, just on that as well, it's, if you're there for a job where you can just do 9 to 5, come home and forget about it, fair enough. Yeah, and there's plenty of people that love to do that, and they'll happily do that for years. I'm not like that. I'm just one of these people who just wants a bit, not necessarily a bit more, but I like to be able to control what goes on in my day, and I like to be able to enjoy what I do, because if I'm not enjoying it, then I'm just going to fall out of love with it and want to move on. And I've done that in the past. I've jumped, from one job to another, looking for something, and you realize that actually you're never going to find that because corporate world you can end up being in this kind of level that's not really suiting you.
Yeah, here, agree, completely agree. And I suppose finally, what's next for Chilli Copy? What's the plan? Is there any any trends or hot topics within copywriting? I mean, how do you see the copywriting landscape? You say there's plenty of work. There'll always be work for you. What's next for you and the industry?
So onwards and upwards, bigger and better, right? So I think this year I'll be going from freelance into limited company. I'll probably be looking at taking on some additional staff resources as well, some of which will be admin work, but some of which will also be copy work. So having junior copywriters, bringing them on board, training them, and getting them to do some of the work. But it's not just about copywriting, Bruno. I mean, this is essentially, it's a marketing function. I'm helping people generate better leads. I'm helping them pull in those leads and take them through the funnel. So it's not just about the writing, it's about everything that goes around that. It's that marketing automation, timing of the letters and emails and messaging, etc., and the reaction time that you need to have, and the different channels we can use for communicating. So bringing all of that in and really offering a complete service, rather than just the copy, really understanding what people's business needs are, rather than saying, okay, here's a brief, fill it out, I'll write you the copy. I can happily do that, but I think I'd rather focus on helping people sort of increase their business potential.
Yeah, I don't think you'll have much trouble expanding that at all. You understand why you do copywriting. It's almost a case of, you want to create more engaging marketing. You want to engage people more. You want to engage potential prospects. You want to tell them why companies do what they do. You just so happen to do that through the vehicle of copywriting. So it's just a case of taking that and then, copy and pasting that into whichever format you want to do. Is that a million miles away, or?
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. And the thing is, Bruno, with all these things, it's never too late to make a change. So you're not stuck. I took a traditional route. I went to university, I did degrees, etc. I started a career, but you're learning. And I think as long as you maintain that appetite to keep on wanting to learn, you can make changes whenever you want. Yeah. And you can make changes to suit yourself. And I think this is what this is about, is that we're constantly adapting. So this is the plan now. Who knows what the plan might be in 5 years' time? But as a business, I'm hoping Chilli Copy will be a large enough business that should I decide to move on, then that business is there for someone else. Yeah. And they can make a go of it.
Yeah, wicked. We've got 3 minutes left before we have to call it a day. So why don't you let people know how people can get in touch if they do want to learn a bit more? Are you available for a quick conversation, one-to-ones? How do people get in touch?
Yeah, always. Listen, I'm one of these people. Well, one thing I have found in the freelance world is that some people immediately they want it. It's almost like they feel their time is worth something every time, but it's not the case. My time is worth something when I feel like I'm really doing something for somebody. But yeah. I'm happy to give people advice for free all day long. I shouldn't say that because I probably don't have the whole day to do it. But honestly, if people want to talk to me about that, firstly, copywriting needs and marketing needs, fine, we can have that chat. Yeah. But secondly, if there's people sitting on the fence, or if there's people thinking about making that transition and how to make that transition, I'd love to chat to them. And you probably do the same, Bruno, right? You have people talking to you about these things and you would give them the same advice. Right. So I just say, pick up the phone. My web address is there. And I think if you go on there, you'll find my mobile details and everything. So by all means, get in touch. And I'd be happy to chat to people about things.
Oh, wicked. And all that's left for me to say, Cam, a million thank yous for taking the time to come on here, just to give something to the community, just talking about introducing the idea of going it alone, what's important when writing copy, just inspiring people, showing people they can do it, showing you as well. I think it's always nice for people to see your face and hear your voice, to know that you're warm and open and you care about what you do. So, thanks again. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. And hopefully, guys, that was interesting, may have inspired you somewhat, or if you've learned something, then we've all, even if it's just a little win today, we've got to win. Hey, Cam?
Bruno, yes, that's what I say. Little things, small steps at a time, everything builds up over time. So thank you very much for having me on as well. It's been a pleasure as always.
My pleasure, Cam. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great weekend. Look after yourselves.